Hello everyone, welcome to SportsKPI's post-match tactical analysis. Today we'll be doing, our episode will be a post-tournament analysis where we'll be discussing the entire qualifiers that has just completed. And our qualifiers and coaches on our panel today will help discuss and share their insights on the game. We've got Ryan Roy Shah from Mega Pro Academy, Meet Mandavia from football coach at Kopana. And we've also got Gumpe Sir, who is the ex-under-23 Indian national team coach and coach at Reliance Foundation Youth Champs currently. So, hi guys, tournament's completed. Gumpe Sir, I'm interested in what did you think about the I-League qualifiers?
First of all, we're glad that the tournament happened. Everybody was worried about the tournament will be there or not, since they have already played the qualifiers, the preliminary round well in advance, and then 7 months of almost 6 to 7 months of no activity in between. So finally it happened, and congratulations to Mohammedan Sporting. They have made a comeback to the I-League.
Yeah, so it's the first live sport in India to restart, and behind closed doors, this is the I-League qualifiers. So Ryan, after the end of the tournament, what did you think about the level of the competition that just went by?
So it was an interesting competition. After a long time, the rustiness was quite evident. And my observation was that Mohammedan Sporting, their recruitment won the league, won the tournament for them. They, despite the change in coach in between, they still, their players actually got them through. There were some good, interesting performances from Bengaluru United, as well as Bhawanipur did the small things right, the little things right. And I think ARA and Garhwal gave a good platform to young players to at least play at a professional level, where many of them were actually making their debut at such a level, coming from local leagues. So it was good to see so many young players, and I'm sure a few of them are now going to make the step up to the I-League or the ISL.
Nice. Meet, what are your thoughts? What did you think about the tournament as a whole?
Asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, it was very good to have Indian football back, and I think there were so many things interesting from the tactical point of view, despite the performances of different teams. Like one thing that was really good is that they all came with their strategies, and they stuck to that, and they performed very well in terms of the tactical aspects. And what I really liked is that we saw so many emerging Indian players. Like, the best thing about the tournament is that each side has maximum 3 to 4 foreign players. So you see so many Indian players, so many players that you have never heard about, and like Ryan said, so many young players. So this was an opportunity for them to show the ISL and the I-League teams that, we've got a lot of talent in the younger league as well. And it's just exciting to see more from them.
Yeah, so when we look at the overall tournament stats over here, you can see that it's a pretty goal-engaging tournament for a pretty short tournament. We've seen a lot of goals, lots of shots being taken. Gumpe sir, what did you feel about the level of competition in the qualifiers?
I think the competition was, I think the level was quite high. All the teams, despite the lack of preparation time, I think they put up a good show. Some of the teams, we could see that lack of experience played a bit of, I think, disappointing part for some of the teams, where you can say that a lot of youngsters were there, like especially the Garhwal FC, the ARA. These two teams were, I think, if you look at the score, I think the average age is very low. And then you can see that many of them have not played at the higher top tier level. So it was a good introduction for them at this higher level. But I think they played good football. Of course, the lack of experience have costed them, but the competition level was quite good.
Yeah, so I felt a huge thing that was common between a lot of the teams in this tournament was the lethargy. Like, lots of people were very tired, but you can also use Corona as an excuse for that. Obviously, people have just been sitting at home away from their regular training sessions. So, Meet, in terms of individual performance, were there any star players that stood out for you in terms of attacking?
Definitely, but like adding to what you said, like usually if you see other tournaments like outside India, and generally like there is always uh, a gap of 4 to 5 or at least a week's gap between two matches, and also these guys coming from not playing any football for more than 6 months to performing in intervals of 3 days is very commendable. And in such a like if you see the tournament was over in less than 15 days. So these guys played four matches in less than 15 days. So it is difficult for them to maintain that level, to maintain their performance. Like there is a good chance that they can pick big injuries. So kudos to their staff, their team, their medical, their preparation, and everything. And other than that, like what you asked in terms of attacking, uh, obviously Mohammedan and team, like they have scored most goals, and they have like this proven striker in Willis Plaza and all. But I think one particular name that everybody must be talking about is Arja, for sure. I think he was the standout performer for me in this tournament.
Okay, so Mohammedan Sporting were the winners of the I-League qualifiers. They now qualify for the following I-League after a 7-year period of not participating in the I-League. Ryan, what did you think about Mohammedan's performance during the I-League qualifiers?
Technically, they had players who were far more experienced, and it showed because the smaller things are what matter in these leagues. I don't think, as I mentioned before, tactics. I don't think tactics are a priority in these leagues until you reach the ISL level. They had players like Subhash Singh. Now, Subhash Singh was used to play for East Bengal when Gumpesa was a player at Lajong. So that shows what kind of experience they had in their team. There were all the experienced heads who were used to the pressure. People like Hira Mandal, people like Plaza, and it completely showed that they knew what to do in most of the situations. And then there was a good blend of youngsters as well, mainly Changte. I was surprised it was nice to see Changte's performance. He was, I think, one of the few players who was willing to take a risk. So as a country, we are addicted to watching proper systematic play, passing patterns and all that, which is very much required. But then he was a player who was willing to people on. He was making those off the ball movements, receiving the ball, and then again trying to take people on, and that's what helped them penetrate. And that's where Plaza got a free to hold up or to shoot or to lay off to someone else.
Yeah, yeah. So Mohammedan performed very well. Gumpesa, even though they have been the best performing team and they've ended up qualifying, they've also had so much controversy surrounding them. Halfway through their campaign, they lost their coach and had to finish off the campaign without Yan Law. So what did you make of Mohammedan?
You mean the controversy?
And their whole performance in the qualifiers?
I think when it comes to this level of football, where winning is important, getting 3 points is important. This not playing good is not important in this competition, because the aim is to qualify, and for that you need to get 3 points, which they did it perfectly. So when it comes to scoring, they score the maximum number of goals, and when it comes to not conceding, they conceded the least number of goals. That sums it up. They did the job perfectly. Defensively, they were good. They were compact. They didn't allow other team to score. And then I won't say that they scored too many goals, but 7 goals is a decent goal at this level, at the given the number of the games. So I think they did absolutely, they did well to qualify for the tournament. The plan was perfect. Of course, I think the plan, when it comes to planning, Jan, I think he have planned it before, and he worked with the boys, and then the boys kept it going, even despite he not being there on the sideline, on the dugout. But still, I think we could see that there was some planning in the teams. Tactical planning was there, and then they executed it in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ryan, would be so I wanna break down individual players of the tournament that you guys prefer. Whoever you guys think were the best players in each of their positions. Uh, Share your insights. Okay. So in terms of attack, I'll bring up the stats over here. So we have our top scorers here with Abhishek, Rajal, and Pankaj Mula and Philip Aja. Meet, who is your best striker of the tournament?
Like I said, Adja, for his off the ball movements, he was often the lone player standing ahead for ready for the counters, and obviously he was getting the support from behind, but he knew exactly where to go. He knew where to exploit the space. He knew how to disrupt the backline, opposition's backline. So it is difficult to play alone ahead and get the support later on. And I think Adja did a brilliant job over there. Other than that, Rajal was very impressive, but obviously he got a little overshadowed with it, because he's playing in that team, and because there are so many good players. But from an individual perspective, Rajal too was brilliant. But yeah, like I said, Adja was the most impressive for me.
Ryan, who impressed you in terms of attacking and getting goals?
Do I name out of these four, or can I name another player?
No, it can be out of these guys as well.
Eh, Anyone else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say Willis Plaza. He was, now one may not really realize how much of pressure there is on him because of the class that he has with his football. There were many times where the ball was lofted up to him, and then he had to hold up, slow it down until Changte, Rijal, and the likes would come and join. And that was instrumental in a lot of goals that they scored. He might not be on the top goal scorers list, but he was definitely, in my view, the most influential player. And apart from that, it's good to see that there are two Indians in the top scorers list, because there's always a shortage of good Indian strikers. So I just
Yeah.
hope that people go on to do better things in life.
Yeah, that's very true. Gumpesa, who was your best forward of the tournament?
If you look at the stats, three players have scored two goals each. But I think when it comes to individuality, I think this Philip looked very uh, good quality wise. When it comes to quality, he looked like he had the quality. But I think he was a disappointment for me, because I felt that he will deliver more. Because if he would have scored few more goals, I I was watching for Bhawanipur. Means they look like a team to make it the most initially for me in between the leagues. So Mohammedan was also there, but looking at their performance in the overall tournament, I thought Bhawanipur will make it. But I think he could have done much more than what he did, Philip. But this Nepalese boy was also quite impressive. First time he's playing in India, and young boy, 20 years of age, and scoring two goals at this level also was quite impressive. I won't single out anyone, because nobody stood out, I feel. And then Changte was, although he didn't score a goal, but Changte was quite effective on the flank. He
Yeah.
was the one who was making those darting runs with the ball, trying to take on the defenders. And then those things, disturbs the defensive organization, and then the other players can take advantage of that. So Changte was also quite impressive.
Yeah. So while we look at our attackers, let's break down the areas from which the most of the goals have happened. We mostly had goals towards the end of the game or towards the end of the first half hour. Out of 20 shots in the entire tournament, we've had two shots that have come outside of the 18-yard box, and most of the shots have come from inside the 6-yard box. So Ryan, what would you make of this analysis?
Yeah, so I would just say that the number of shots that have been taken are probably not good enough, because again, that's to do with players being under too much pressure of just executing that shot because of the repercussions from pressure wise or whatever it is. I would like to talk about the set pieces part, because with the set pieces, a lot of teams, Mohammed and Waniko, they did put in some good deliveries, and it shows how important it is in Indian football to have those, to have the aerial ability. Now, in terms of these shots that were taken, I would say people should try and model. I mean, strikers could try and take inspiration from someone like William Opoku of Bengaluru United, because of the entire concept of him taking those chances, taking those risks to take shots. And this has been, I think maybe Gumpe sir may resonate with this. So if during his time, a lot of players, like let's say the foreigners who were doing well at that time, it was Odafa, it was Ranti, it was Ed, they used to do the simple things well. And if we can, although we are progressive, if we can just think of the main job of a striker, which is not only as of now to link up play and all that, but actually get the job done, then it'll be a big benefit to Indian football, and we'll have many better strikers available for the Indian national team.
Yeah, yeah. So, Meet, what did you make of that? Ryan brought up the set pieces. I think around we had around 4 or 5 goals from set pieces during the tournament. So, what did you make of the goal analysis?
Yeah, I mean, if you see, like, obviously the number of goals scored are kind of a disappointment based on, because the conversion rate of certain teams is just like appalling. Like if you see Garewal, they have taken 61 shots, but only 12 were on target. So you get a conversion rate of less than 20%. And like this is obviously down to the quality, the pressure, the situation, and number of factors. But somewhere they need to be scoring these chances, like simple things, executing simple things. Other than that, there were some interesting set piece tactics. They were trying different things in free kicks and corners. There were some patterns that we saw particularly. But yeah, I mean, I think in when it comes to set pieces, I would be more disappointed from the defensive point of view because they made it quite easy, in my opinion. But otherwise, yeah, I think from open play, the teams should have scored more goals ideally, based because they have taken more shots. It's not that they haven't. So it's just down to the quality and the situation.
Yeah, yeah. So, when we talk about the midfield, who do you think was the most influential in the game in terms of playmaking and creating opportunities for the forwards? Meet.
From the midfield point of view, there were a couple of them, and I think like because of different systems, you will have different teams will have different players to have the responsibility of creating. But I think Govind Swami of ARA was impressive. Then if you look at Mohammedan, I think although Plaza was a striker, he was mostly creating for his team uh, besides getting into position to score. So yeah, and if you look at only midfielders, then yeah, Changte, Pratik Swami, these are all impressive names who have tried to do something. Also, some of the fullbacks like Bagai and all who deserve credit for putting those crosses inside the box and doing a phenomenal job at
Yeah. Gurpesa, who did you feel was the most influential to support the forwards?
In this final competition, we didn't see much of midfield who means we didn't see much of a ball possession game. Although people are talking about keeping the ball and all, but if you see the number of times they kept the ball, I think the duration was very low in terms of all the teams. But there were some players, especially there's a the player called Altamas of Bhawanipur. I think he had the range of passing, those switching flanks and playing those long diagonal balls. I think he looked quite impressive in the central midfield role, scheming the entire play. So he was one of the players who I felt was doing good in the midfield.
Ryan, what did you think from the data we collected? We noticed that Bala was one of the most influential players in the overall game. He's placed first in many different aspects of the game, like passes, tackles, recoveries, things like these. So, Ryan, what did you make of the people who influenced the game the most?
So with Garhwal FC, the Indian players that they had and the quality that they were of, because they were young and upcoming, inexperienced, it was quite evident that Bala is going to be influential with a lot of their attacks. And these statistics show what a quality player he is. And I just believe that in case Bala can, you know, play another year with a team like Garhwal FC, then he can really do well in multiple positions, which obviously is unlikely the case considering how well he's performed. Apart from that, in a few Indians that I mean, two Indians that impressed me were Fayaz from Mohammedan and Arun Kumar from Bengaluru United. It's just sad that Arun Kumar could not consistently put in the performances that he did. But I hope for him and Fayaz.
Okay. Gumpesa, in terms of defense, who do you think was the most compact team?
Uh, stats never lies. So Mohammedan were quite compact. When it comes to, they were very miser in giving away goals. So I think Mohammedan Sporting was very compact side, with Kingsley taking the lead role in the center of the defense line.
Amit, what did you make of all the teams and their defensive performance?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mohammedan, because they won the title, they conceded less. But along with them, like if you see, Bhawanipur did an excellent job in terms of defense, and you have the force of Shilton Paul behind, who's constantly coordinating and commanding his backline, structuring it, always making sure that his team is in shape. So they did a fantastic job, and despite having such less possession, they committed very less fouls, and they were always disciplined throughout the tournament, and they worked very well defensively.
Okay. I know this next question may be a bit odd, but Ryan, who do you think was the poorest team, and maybe what is the one thing they can work on for the next campaign?
I'd say not poorest, but getting there. It would have Gadwal and Ara, but then the difference was that Ara, after every game, they kept improving. After their first defeat, they kept showing better performances. Whereas with Gadwal, it was always bland. They were too predictable. Their defense was always under pressure. Whenever they got the ball, they would give possession away. There was too much dependence on Bala. And I don't know how that team will do if they recruit in the same way. But then again, looking at it from another perspective, they hardly had time to train. There were, if I'm as they started training, they had 6 players at training. That is how Gadwal began their training. So I think these kind of things show once you're on the big stage. So yeah, it's Gadwal.
Okay, okay. So Gumpesa, like even though Mohammedan were the ones who qualified, I thought Bhawanipur and Bangalore United were the next best performance other than Mohammedan. Unfortunately, Bhawanipur messed up against Mohammedan, and Bangalore United. Their biggest challenge for me was their finishing during the tournament. So, what do you think these guys can work on for their next campaign? Bangalore United and Bhawanipur.
First of all, I think Bhawanipur, I feel there was a big blow for them, Kroma. And if he was not tested positive, I think he would have definitely added to the team's performance. Definitely, I feel that was a big, I think, blow for them. For Bengaluru, I think they seems like a team who came with some kind of plan. They had a good amount of training. I think more than the other teams. They started training much earlier than the other teams. But I think, and again, you need to have some experience in the team, which I think they lack. I think they need to have 1 or 2 experienced players, be it in the defense, like Ryan was mentioning about Gadwal heroes. You can clearly see the lack of experience in the boys the young boys, a lot of energy. They can run up and down. They can go for all the plays. But experience help. Like in Bhawanipur, we have that Kinsu was there. He was, that you get that moral support from the senior. I think that thing they need to add one or two experienced player in the team. Maybe one in the back, one in the midfield, and maybe little bit more in the midfield. And of course, quality foreigners makes all the difference in when it comes to scoring goals in Indian football. They need to recruit quality foreigners.
And how do you think Mohammedan is going to compete in the I-League? Do you think they have a chance of going and grabbing the title now?
Going for the title straight from the qualifying round, I think that's a bit of too much of asking, I feel. Because the teams who are in the I-League, they have been there for quite a long period. And if you look at the current recruitment of Punjab FC, we can see they have been signing players, some good experienced players they have signed. I think we have to yet to see how they perform as a team. But looking at the type of signing they made, I think Mohammedan, if they go with the same squad, I think they might do well, but I feel they will not be at the top, definitely.
Okay. So this has been a great episode. I think we can end it over here. Thank you, Meet, for joining us. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Gumpe, sir. This is going to be the end of our post-match series for the I-League Qualifier. So thank you to everyone who's been watching and tuning in. And yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhay. Thank you, Meet. Thank you, Gumpe.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Gumpa sir.